the world is still spinning, the sky hasn't fallen, the sun is still rising. Every day is the cycle of life. And even though we're hunkering down, the earth is still continuing, and it will be there for us. And hopefully it will be even better and blossoming for us when we do go back out there into the world, and hopefully we'll take better care of it.
You're listening to the Mindful Mama podcast, episode number 225. Today we're talking about the healing power of nature with Sandi Schwartz. Welcome to the Mindful Mama podcast. Here it's about becoming a less irritable, more joyful parent. At Mindful Mama, we know that you cannot give what you do not have. And when you have calm and peace within, then you can give it to your children. I'm your host, Hunter Clark-Field's Mindful Mama mentor. I help smart, thoughtful parents stay calm so they can have strong, connected relationships with their children. I've been practicing mindfulness for over 20 years. I'm the creator of the Mindful Parenting course and membership, and I'm the author of Raising Good Humans, a mindful guide to breaking the cycle of reactive parenting and raising kind, confident kids. This is going to be a great episode, my friend. I am so glad that you are here. In just a moment, I am going to be sitting down with Sandi Schwartz, the happy science mom, a science writer, positive psychology and environmental expert, and a mom blogger who helps parents utilize science-backed stress reduction tools to help bring happiness and balance to families. And we are going to be talking about how this whole crazy sheltering place post-COVID-19 world, and many of us are still sheltering in place, and how we can, even in this time, tap into the power of nature to heal and to remember our wholeness. So I want you to listen for some important takeaways, how it really is a powerful reducer of stress and healer, nature. How there are ways to embrace nature, even if you can't leave your apartment, and that people, even with just a view of nature, heal faster. So if you are a nature lover, or if you are not, I invite you to dive into this episode. It's really powerful. And before I dive in, I just want to let you know that I have some exciting things happening behind the scenes here in the Mindful Mama world. As you know, I'm the creator of the Mindful Parenting course and membership. And this year, I'm currently working with my first cohort of teacher trainees. So the Mindful Parenting course, it teaches how to take care of ourselves, uncover our triggers, take care of our stress response, and how to communicate skillfully so that you can parent without punishment. It brings those things together in one course. And I'm teaching the first group of teachers who are going to be taking that and teaching that in person in their local communities. And so I'm so excited about that. We had this, we just had part 2 of our training where they were teaching it back to me, the first session. And it was like, I was just filled with love just hearing this thing, the Mindful Parenting course, which is like my baby, in the hands of these incredibly competent, passionate people. And I'm just so thrilled. So if you are a parent educator, if you are a therapist or a doula, or you're just passionate about mindful parenting, I'm going to be starting to teach you how to teach mindful parenting in your local community in an in-person setting. So if you are curious about that, we don't have any official webpage up as the time of this recording. So please go ahead and email me at hunter@mindfulmamamentor.com, and you can learn more about it. And maybe this can be something that you add into your repertoire too. So I'm so excited about it. So that's what's going on in my world. And I hope you're well. I am also, as much as I can, spending lots of time in nature. This kind of whole quarantine thing, like, it's led me to be in my garden a lot. I have not done so much gardening in a long time, so I am super into that at the moment. I feel really blessed to be able to do that. All right, enough about this. I know you want to hear the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Here we go. Let's dive into this episode. Sandy, thanks so much for coming on the Mindful Mama podcast.
Hi, it's great to be here. How are you doing today?
I'm good. We just we're breathing through our technical difficulties, getting the message out. And I'm excited to talk to you today, and we're going to talk about the healing power of nature and how to get kids into nature, even if we're stuck at home still. But I'm just curious, Sandy, about this, about how is this something that you became passionate about? I imagine it was well before you became a mom.
Yes, actually, it goes back to high school when I cleaned up a dirty old river in New Jersey, in a suburban town in New Jersey where I grew up. And then I joined the Nature Defense Club in high school, and I started teaching younger children about recycling. And then I actually was so inspired about changing the world and making the planet healthier and cleaner that I went on to college and majored in environmental studies. And kind of proceeded through life, and then realized as time went on and I became a mom, and I actually was dealing with infertility issues and anxiety, and it kind of brought me back to where can I go to feel happier and healthier and calmer again. So it's amazing how things go for full circle. And now I spend a lot of time researching and writing about how nature can help us feel happier and calmer, and how we can teach our children to do the same.
Yeah. So when you were struggling with anxiety, what were some of the things that you did where did you go in nature to help soothe your soul?
Well, what happened was I really thought, when you first experience anxiety, the doctor immediately wants to give you a pill, right? And I really spent a lot of time researching how I didn't want to do that. So that's actually when I started my blog about 4.5 years ago. And it is meant to be the toolkit that I needed as a child. I wish that my parents had given me the tools, and I wanted to pass it along to my children, and then to parents to then pass it along to theirs. But I did a lot of research on the study of positive psychology and happiness science. And that's why my blog is called Happy Science Mom. It's actually a play on words, because I'm a science writer, and I come from that background of making sure everything you write about actually has some scientific backing to it. But then it's also about the science of happiness. So I looked at mindfulness and creativity and nutrition and fitness and spending time in nature. And they actually all come hand in hand. And that's where I'm putting a lot of my effort into these days, is how we can, kind of marry mindfulness with nature, and gratitude in nature and awe in nature, and all these different pieces that we can then bring into our lives to feel better.
It's interesting because I teach mindfulness and anxiety, of course, is definitely one of the things that drove me to learn about that and teach it. And what you're talking about, that piece about being in nature, is sort of this unspoken undercurrent, right? That is woven completely into my life because my dad was I guess a tree hugger. He had bonsai. We went on a lot of hikes and lived by the ocean. And, even this morning, as you describe this, like my meditation practice is a huge part of what keeps me sane and happy and healthy. I can see an incredible difference. But also unspoken with that is that I go for, like, we are recording this right now in early April 2019. We're all sheltering in place.
2020.
2020, thank you.
I think I wish we were in that 2019.
I wish I was in 2019, where my biggest problem was the lesser celandine that was like taking over my yard. Yeah. And so, like, one of the huge pieces for me is that I'm so lucky to be able to get outside. And just this morning, actually, like just before this, I was like out for a run, and I was out for a run. I was in, like, running through, like, we have a lot of trees where I live. It's kind of like one of those trees areas and a lot of woods. And I'm looking at the leaves and one of the flowering trees, and I'm saying, okay, thank you. Thank you for these leaves. Oh, I'm really like just looking around, seeing what I can appreciate. So it was like all those things kind of wrapped up into one experience. The power of those are incredible.
Yes, and that's really the key, as you know, it's all about being more mindful and passing that on to our children as well, because, and for us as busy moms, to remember to pay attention, to remember to stop and smell the roses. Everyone's so busy right now in their lives that they're not doing that. And I actually, I've been doing this daily eco happiness challenge. And one day, part of the challenge was to go, I went on a bike ride, and I could have just been a plain old bike ride, but I decided to make it a mindfulness sound experience
Mm.
where I really focused on what was I hearing. I mean, I'm just around my little neighborhood on my bike, but I was hearing the crunch of the leaves under the tires, and I was hearing the whooshing of the wind in my ears, and any birds, the birds that were chirping as I went along, and kind of tried to tune out, any of the buzzing of the vehicles and all that. And so it's just something simple like that. I got home and, put a smile on my face. It made me feel better.
Well, it's interesting, and I'm curious about the research about this, but I've wondered about this because I've gone on some like backpacking trips with my daughter now and some with friends. And when I've gotten away for like 2 nights, completely away from like the internal combustion engine and all things like, uh, you know, human made, just being outside, completely surrounded by nature for more than 24 hours,
Mm.
the sense of just complete peace that I feel. It just feels like everything is right. And I can't help but think that, this is for 100,000, 200,000 years, this is how we lived. And that we are so out of touch with that can be harmful. And so do you know anything about the research that they've done on this and the benefits of really intentionally spending more time in nature? And if you are stuck at home and can't go outside, we are going to talk about that too. So hang tight.
Yes, well, actually, just last year, there was a groundbreaking study published in Scientific Reports that got a lot of news coverage. And this really kind of was a tipping point, I believe, because it spurred a lot more media on the benefits of nature for mental health in particular. And it basically, the bottom line was that 20 minutes a day being in nature is all you need to really reduce that stress. And it's so critical because children aren't even getting enough recess time and playing outside enough. And even look at us as moms, right? Are we getting outside? If we're stuck at a computer all day, it's really important to work in 20 to 60 minutes a day of getting that nature, whether it's just having lunch outside or going for a walk, taking a break from your work day and going for a walk, or going outside with your children and playing and enjoying that time together. Being playful in itself, there's so much research that says it will boost your mood. So we can combine all this research together to really feel happier and calmer. Um,
So what do you do with your kids on a regular week, or considering maybe even you're sheltering in place? What are some of the ways that you incorporate this into your own life?
well, every day we have been talking about what's one way that we can be outside. And we've gone on bike rides, we've taken family walks. I've noticed my son, who's a tween now, that he's been really dealing with being at home really well and being on virtual school very well. I'm impressed. But when he gets a little irritated or cooped up, he just says, "Can I go outside and play basketball, mommy?" And that's what he does. He goes on the front, to the driveway, and he just shoots his baskets, and that's all he needs to really recharge. But we've been doing whatever we can from our backyard. We have a pool, fortunately. One day I said to my daughter, "You're going outside," and she ended up running around the pool and a few laps around, and it was just fun. There's so many simple things you can do. I also am fortunate. I have a stationary bike on my backyard balcony, And I've been using that a lot because it looks over to these gorgeous palm trees. I'm down here in Florida, so we have pretty warm weather, but it's very, very beautiful right now in that tropical environment. And so I've been outside exercising probably more than I have in a long time. Because usually I would just go to the gym and be inside, and now it's more of this crave. You want to get that break and go outside more. And as long as you stick to the shade, you're good.
I don't know. I'm a believer in needing some sun. And
Oh,
probably you're like you live in Florida. In Delaware, we're like, when the sun
oh,
comes out in the
that's true.
spring, we're all like, ah, the sun.
That's true.
We need our vitamin D after kind of being inside for so long. Yeah, yeah. So you also worked for the EPA and et cetera. Just I'm curious about, as a lover of the earth and the nature and a mom, uh, it's interesting because we're in this time where we're all under this crazy anxiety because of this COVID-19 pandemic. But kids have incredible anxiety for a lot of reasons, but one of them is because
Mm.
of global warming. And it's so kind of strange because this everyone staying home is like actually this benefit for the warming, like helping us just slow down the warming of the earth. But um, how do you talk to your kids about that? And do they kind of sense I mean, how do you wrap your head around it yourself as somebody who cares about all of these things? Are you feeling optimistic? You're feeling pessimistic? And what is it kind of looking like with your kids too?
Well, I have found it very interesting that carbon emissions have actually gone down a little bit. People are saying they're getting so much more mileage out of their car because they're not driving, as a joke. I already drive my electric car. So,
Me
you
too.
know, so, I find it fascinating that it actually is being beneficial for Earth, for everyone to just stay inside for a little bit and to reduce those emissions. Planes are actually a huge culprit of carbon emissions. So the fact that air travel has been cut dramatically, is obviously not good for other reasons, but it is kind of interesting for the Earth to take that breath. And, I do hope that through this experience, people will learn a little bit about that and maybe think twice next time. And now that they're doing more walking and they're enjoying their backyards more and they're slowing down, I really do hope that is the benefit of this crisis. The other thing I wanted to mention is that part of the environmentalist angle. So there's kind of, this whole looking at nature and stress reduction is obviously about us feeling better. But I also want people to understand that by realizing that nature is available to us to make us feel happier and calmer, we now should take that step and protect it, right? Because if we don't have these beautiful trees to look at and hiking trails to go on and clean water to bathe in and enjoy at the ocean and whatnot, we can't actually benefit from it. So it's a little bit selfish in a way, but it's important because that's how the human mind works.
Mhm.
It's a little hard for people to grasp the concept of climate change. But if you look at it from a personal standpoint and how nature is better for you, and we need to protect it for the future, for our children and grandchildren, and for us, I think that's the biggest message that I would like to let people know about. That's important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. I mean, maybe that could be something positive that comes out of this. I mean, I do see, like, we went to our local hiking spot a week and a half ago or something, or 2 weeks ago, and it was when all this was starting, and boy, there were way more people than there ever were before. We had
Wow.
never seen, I mean, everyone was 6 feet apart, more or less, but uh, yeah, that was maybe a bright spot. So what about this time when if people are stuck inside, if they can't go outside, they have to stay in an apartment in a city. How can nature help them in this time?
Well, it is fascinating how much you can still benefit from nature, even if you're not so immersed in it, and I do want to also say that, you don't have to be a super crunchy person, the hiker, the person who only drives electric vehicles to really tap into the power of nature. And I joke, like, I've actually never been camping. I'm a huge environmentalist. That was my major in college. People think I'm so green, but I've never even been camping. I was raised as a suburbanite, and I'm still a suburbanite, but we all can do our part, both to protect nature and to enjoy nature. And even from your own home, what's been really fascinating about this whole, sheltering in place and all that, being stuck at home, is there's so many resources, and to look at technology from a positive way too. So, one day my children and I took a virtual field trip to Ireland because it was St. Patty's Day, and it was like, oh, we don't know that much about Ireland. And we looked at just gorgeous scenery, right? So, and the fact is, yes, you may not get the exact same boost from being out in the woods, like if you were forest bathing or hiking, but you still get some. It still gives you that, if you're looking at a building on a computer screen versus beautiful flowers, you're going to feel differently. So there's a lot that everyone can do. And, most people have hopefully a balcony, at least a window, from just your window, get the kids by the window and gaze see how many stars you can find. Spend, an hour looking for birds, maybe see, even from New York City, like what greenery can you see? It's amazing how much you might be able to see a rooftop garden.
Mm-hmm. So would you recommend that? I'm trying to think. Would you recommend that people bring plants indoors? Like if you are stuck inside, like this is time. I bet you can order some plants online somewhere, right?
Yes. And there have been studies, actually, one of the key studies that keeps coming up in a lot of what I've read about the healing power of nature is that years ago, there was a study done in hospitals, in the rooms where people had a view of some greenery through their window. They actually healed more quickly than those who didn't have that window. So they know that it helps you. You can bring plants in. You can start your own little herb garden indoors by a windowsill or on your balcony. Another great way to tap into nature easily is through sound. Just close your eyes, throw on a meditation with nature sounds, such as, the water, the ocean waves, or a river, or birds chirping, soothing sounds. You close your eyes and all of a sudden you're transported to a whole nother land, right? So that, as you know, with meditation is so powerful.
I actually use that a lot of times when I have to be in my office for a while working, and there are these great YouTube videos that are they're like 8 hours long of bird sounds in a field, and it's
Right.
wonderful. Or the rainforest, and you can find sounds of anything for endless amounts of time, and you could just play it in your house and see how it reduces everyone's stress. Your kids will think you're totally kooky. Like my kids think that when I do that sometimes, that they're like, oh my goodness, we're back in the rainforest with mom. But we all smile, we laugh, like it feels good, it feels healing.
Well, it might be interesting for them, though, to say to them, oh, well, close your eyes and listen to this for 5 minutes and then go draw a picture. What do you see? Do you see a colorful bird in that rainforest? Because art, creativity is another very powerful way to feel calmer. One of the ways I was sitting on my balcony, again, of course, I'm spending a lot of time there, and I was doing a color by number, a nature color by number. And, at the end of it, you have this beautiful bird or a beautiful scene. So that in itself, or get the kids to create on their own. The other thing, if you have pets, I happen to not be a pet owner, but pets, anyone who has a dog or a cat, or I heard that there's a big uptick now in people that are fostering animals.
Yeah.
there's so many tremendous benefits just to having that pet now with you to snuggle with and to touch, and the children especially. So that's another way that people, if they're stuck at home, can do a positive thing for their community and foster a pet and feel better and help the pet feel better as well.
It's so true. We got our first dog in January, the end of
Mm.
January. And so we've had her for just a few months now. And of all, we count what we're grateful. We talk about what we're grateful for at dinner. And she is on the list all the time because
Oh, that's nice.
not, that's the beautiful piece about nature is like, it feels like there's all this fear in the world, right? That we're kind of surrounded by it. But like, our dog is so happy that we are home, and she is just full of
Mhm.
kisses and like loving and fun and injecting this element of fun. And I know that there's good benefits from a gut bacteria standpoint actually too. But but like if I look at her and I look at like the flowers that are coming up in my yard and all the life that's happening there, it's just a reminder that there is abundance, there is life, there is beauty, there's growth and healing, all of it. And there's this like that awe in nature, like it's all there, all that that rhythm, the regular rhythm of life is still happening when we remember to see beyond the human world, I guess.
Yes, and I think it's especially important now that for those of us stuck inside, stuck at home, to take that moment. And I have noticed the birds chirping more than I ever have. And I kind of did say to myself, I saw butterflies, fluttering by, and I said, "Wow, look, nature is proceeding. Like you're right. Like the world is still spinning. The sky hasn't fallen. Like the sun is still rising. Every day is the cycle of life. And even though we're hunkering down, the earth is still continuing, and it will be there for us. And hopefully, it will be even better and blossoming for us when we do go back out there into the world. And hopefully, we'll take better care of it. But yes, it's there for us to enjoy and to feel better. The other thing I wanted to mention, when we were talking about the sound videos
Mm-hmm.
that you've listened to, there's and then putting that together with awe. There are some fabulous videos you've probably seen. Let's say, the quick speed of a flower
Oh
blossoming.
yeah, those are so cool.
Yeah, or the rain, the dew
Mm.
and the rain, and the morning dew. And so something like that, as simple as that, you can sit down and watch, and you are getting that boost of awe. I mean, awe has been shown to lower cortisone levels in your body. So it really truly will calm you down. And it's fun, and it's something to talk about with the kids and just be excited about.
You mentioned that even poetry can inspire this. Like if we're stuck at home or whether we can get outside or not, this could be a way to tap into nature.
Yes, actually, the other day I pulled out a poetry book from one of my children's, when they were born or something, stuck back in the closet in the bookshelf, and there was a chapter all on nature poetry, and we sat and we read it together, and then I started making up some lines, and my kids were laughing, and so they can start making up their own poetry. But there's so many, whether you're pulling out Robert Frost or some children's poetry book, or having your children or you yourself or your spouse or partner write your own poetry, or other books that talk about nature and hiking, anything that really kind of spurs that imagination of being there, even if you can't.
Oh, I want like a good nature poetry book. I wish I had something right now that we could like read on the podcast. Um, yeah, I want something. Now I want to, dear listener, if you can think of a great nature poetry book to recommend to me, please, please let me know. Find me on Instagram at Mindful Mama Mentor or wherever. Do you have anything, Sandy?
Well, like I mentioned, Robert Frost is one of the most famous ones. Some others that I've noted in the past: John Keats,
Mm.
William Wordsworth, P.B. Shelley. And I had received a poem. I think you may have seen it too, going around social media, called "Lockdown." It was by Richard Hendrick, And it's all about the coronavirus situation. But one of the most beautiful aspects is that it talks about how we're able to hear the birds again. And they were talking about in Wuhan, China, and how it's usually so loud and crazy and congested, and everyone retreated, and now they can hear the birds again. So that's pretty beautiful. It's a poem filled with a lot of emotion because of the situation. But this is maybe a good time for all of us to sit down and write poetry. Stare out the window and put a poem together, and you never know. Maybe they'll have a contest ready to go for all of us.
Oh, yeah. I think I've found the poem, the lockdown poem. Let's see how long it is. All right. Sandi, you ready? I'm going to read it. Here we go. And this is by a Capuchin Franciscan monk, Brother Richard Hendrick, who's living in Ireland. And he penned this on Friday, March 13th. So, 2020. Yes, there's fear. Yes, there's isolation. Yes, there's panic buying. Yes, there's sickness. Yes, there's even death. But they say that in Wuhan, after so many years of noise, you can hear the birds sing again. They say that after just a few weeks of quiet, the sky is no longer thick with fumes. Blue and gray and clear, but blue and gray and clear. They say that in the streets of Assisi, people are singing to each other across the empty squares, keeping their windows open so that those who are alone may hear the sounds of family around them. They say that a hotel in the west of Ireland is offering free meals and delivery to the housebound. Today, a young woman I know is spreading flyers with her number throughout the neighborhood so that the elders may have someone to call on. Today, churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples are preparing to welcome and shelter the homeless, the sick, the weary. All over the world, people are slowing down and reflecting. All over the world, people are looking at their neighbors in a new way. All over the world, people are waking up to a new reality, to how big we really are, to how little control we really have, to what really matters, to love. So we pray and we remember that, yes, there is fear, but there does not have to be hate. Yes, there's isolation, but there does not have to be loneliness. Yes, there's panic buying, but there does not have to be meanness. Yes, there is sickness, but there does not have to be disease of the soul. Yes, there is even death, but there can always be a rebirth of love. Wake to the choices you make as to how to live now. Today, breathe. Listen. Behind the factory noises of your panic, the birds are singing again. The sky is clearing. Spring is coming. And we are always encompassed by love. Open the windows of your soul, and though you may not be able to touch across the empty square, sing. That's so beautiful.
Beautiful. It's amazing what people can create in these situations. So, yeah, very inspiring.
So we can open our windows. So, Sandi, maybe we can take this, we can see, I think that it's important to remember that, kind of like as he was saying in his poem, even though there's this suffering, the wise person knows that they should not feel guilty for feeling joy. That joy is what we need, right? That joy and gratitude and appreciation, like we need a big dose of that. We need a lot of that. And it's okay to have both. And so you have been doing a wonderful challenge to help people find some joy in nature. Can you share some of the activities that you're challenging kids and families to do to help them get outside, or remember to be outside?
Sure. Yes. And this happened. I came up with this on Saturday, March 14th. It was the day after I knew the kids were kind of done with school. And I said, how am I going to get through this? And what can I do? And how can I tap into all the resources that I have been writing about all these years? my blog is a toolkit for raising happy, balanced children, and I need to stay happy and balanced now. So what can I do? And so I kind of committed. I posted on Facebook that I was going to do a daily eco happiness challenge. And I'm now completed 3 weeks. And so every day I have done something, either, something connected to nature. Sometimes it's going for a walk or a bike ride, either by myself or, like I mentioned, bike rides with my kids, or that time when I was looking, focusing on what I heard during my bike ride. We've read nature poetry together. We have done really cool art projects. One day my daughter came running to me and said, I had this project for school and I have to go out in the backyard and create an insect out of whatever I can find that's natural in our backyard. And I said, oh, well, I have to do that too. So we went outside and we picked leaves and some flower petals and some other cool things that we were able to find. And we created these really neat bugs. And, I posted them around and it got a lot of attention. Everybody loved them. They were colorful and really unique. And a lot of parents were like, oh, I'm going to do that too. It's so simple. And I never thought of that before. One day I just decided to do some yoga in my backyard.
So nice, especially if you're before the mosquitoes come out.
Oh yeah, till the morning, of course. I've been researching and writing about all this, but and again, I'm an environmentalist, as a suburbanite. So I haven't done everything. I've never done earthing before.
What's
earthing or grounding, where you go barefoot and you stand in the grass, or you could do it at a beach as well. But it's really about, getting the positive energy from the earth, from nature. And I'm sorry.
Isn't that like barefoot in the grass? Isn't that also like isn't that sort of beneficial I've heard that could be beneficial also for your health too, because your skin is absorptive and there's minerals and all kinds of things in the soil, right? That, good positive bacteria and stuff like that's all really good for your feet too, right?
Yes.
I know.
And it's
This
good.
is hearsay, dear listener, hearsay.
Well, it's also good mindfully as well.
Yeah,
You're feeling the sensations that you wouldn't otherwise feel with shoes on, and good to get in tree pose while you're standing out there. So, and I did that with my daughter and, explained to her what it was. So it was cool because we went down an interesting path of learning something new and being outside together. And I just think the other part of reason this is so important and why I decided to do this is I needed something to turn to every day, right? I needed a reason almost to get out of bed every morning, because it starts to feel like Groundhog Day a little bit, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yes. So we just watched that movie again. The kids had never seen it. So I said, yeah, this is how mommy and daddy are feeling. And so every day I have a new challenge to somehow connect with nature. And that has really helped me get through this challenging time, because it's given me something to look forward to. It's kind of challenged me to look up new information, or, just when I think I'm going to run out of ideas, there's always something that either just appears on Facebook in front of my face or in my email, like that poem that arrived. There's always something. And I think if we always take that, we should all take this eco happiness challenge to heart and make it a 365 day challenge and do it every year and see how many unique ways we can connect to nature every day. I really think it's beautiful. I think it only can make us feel better and the world a better place.
And without commutes, right? We don't have any commutes now. I mean, we may not feel like we have more time because a lot of people are working and trying to do homeschool, but maybe this can be a time for us to lighten up a little bit on the must get every math problem done and say, okay, let's go outside and breathe. Let's just get some fresh air and like hop up and down on one foot for 5 times or whatever, or
Right.
just crouch down real low and see what we can see. I think that this invitation that you have with the challenge to connect is so vital and so needed.
Yes, and if folks want to follow along or join the challenge, because I would love to hear what other people are doing, they can find me on Facebook at Happy Science Mom.
Cool. Sandi, it's been great to talk to you. I really appreciate what you're doing and encouraging us all to get out and to remember that awe and that connection and that life and abundance that is around us, and that we just have to go and get out of our heads, our stories, literally get into our bodies, get into our senses, your sense of sight, touch, smell, all of that. You know, just get it, your hearing, right? That is what mindfulness is like coming to our senses and just taking a moment to step away from our stories of what's happening all everywhere else in the world and say, what is here? Like, what is happening right here, right now? What is available right here and right now? And start to to wake up to what is this, all this beauty that is here.
Mhm. And next time you're on your commute, when you're back to your normal schedule, maybe folks will look out the window more and take in the beautiful trees and flowers they see, or when you're stuck at a red light, to look at the clouds and take some deep breaths. And hopefully we'll all remember that, and hopefully our children will too.
Yeah, our modeling is the best example for sure. Sandi, thank you so much. I really appreciate your work you're doing, and I appreciate you coming on the Mindful Mama podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening. I love this conversation about nature, and it just makes me want to get into nature even more. And I'm so excited so happy to be close to my woods. And I hope that you have some access to nature. If not, get those YouTube nature sounds rolling in your environment too, like I do. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I just want to let you know that we have so many resources. We have all the back episodes of the Mindful Mama podcast at our website at mindfulmamamentor.com. And I have lots of free resources there. I have information about the membership. And hopefully soon I'm going to have some information about the Mindful Parenting Teacher Training, where I'm going to be enrolling the next cohort soon to learn to teach the Mindful Parenting as an 8-session course in your local community in person. So if you're curious about that, you want to know more, you're like, oh my gosh, Hunter, tell me more, then go ahead and just email me at hunter@mindfulmamamentor.com, and I will try to get you some info, and we'll get some up on the website soon. I'm wishing you a beautiful week, my friend. I'm wishing you peace and joy. I'm wishing you, breaks. I wish you somewhere, maybe something new to engage you as we keep going in this endless Groundhog Day of a moment. So I'm wishing all that for you, and let's practice to just appreciate with all the little things, like appreciate our breathing, appreciate maybe if we are lucky enough to have 2 hands or 2 arms that can hold our children, and 2 feet that can walk, and our breath that's maybe healthy if we're lucky, flowing in and out. Whatever those simple things, we can bring it back to basics. Let's practice to appreciate those this week, and I will be practicing with you. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Namaste. Are you a mom who wants to feel less stressed and enjoy motherhood more? Do you want to be calmer with your kids and be more present for life? I've gone from being stressed and yelling to become more grounded, more at ease, and have more enjoyable, cooperative relationships with my kids. I'm going to show you how to do it too. If you currently feel stuck or stagnant, this is for you. I've created a free, downloadable audio training, Mindfulness for Moms, the Superpower You Need. It will show you how to respond rather than react, how to let go of stress and feel more grounded in seconds, how to have a smoother day today and become more present for your kids. To get this absolutely free, simply visit the website mindfulmomguide.com. That's mindfulmomguide.com. Get started with mindfulness, the superpower moms need. I'll see you there.